Hello students, thanks for watching NM tutorials. I'm Nitin Mathur, your teacher. Today we will talk about the data types. So with the very first thing, what are data types? So data types are used to define the type of data which is being stored in a particular variable, right? Data type are used to define the type of data which is being stored in a particular variable. Python is a dynamically typed language, so we do not need to define the variable beforehand. Before using the variable, we do not need to define the type of that particular variable. But there are some data types used in Python to manage the data, right? And all these data types are actually predefined classes in Python, and there are some associated methods with those data types. Those are used to perform the manipulations on those variables with the values, right? Now, so the very first thing, the categories of data types. How many categories are there of data types in Python? So generally in Python we divide the data types in two categories: mutable and immutable data types. Mutable data types and immutable data types. Now, what are mutable and what are immutable data types? Mutable data types whose values can be changed, right? And the immutable data types whose values cannot be changed, right? Now, so the types of data types कि कौन-कौन से data types हैं हमारे पास? What are the data types available in Python? So the very first data type is numeric type. The very first is numeric type. Now it has further divided into three categories, in three types, right? It has also three types. First is integer. First is integer, which holds a whole number values, right? Without decimal places, only integral part of the number. And next is float. Float holds the numeric value with the decimal places, numeric values with the decimal places. And third is complex. Third is complex number, right? Complex number holds the two parts: integer part, यानी कि real number, and the imaginary part. Real part, it has two parts: real part and the imaginary part, right? Now, after the numeric data type, we have Boolean data type, right? Which holds either true or false Boolean values, right? 1 means true and 0 means false, right? In computer system, binary number system, 0 means false and 1 means true. So in Python, we hold that true or false in a Boolean data type. So we use true, capital T, and in false, capital F. So true and false are stored in Boolean type. Next is mapping data type, that is a dictionary. A dictionary is a collection of key value pairs. Collection of key value pairs, right? Now, next is set. Sets are the collection of several values. The sets are collection of several values. And now, the another type is sequence data types. In sequence data types, there are three data types: list, tuples, and strings. But dictionaries are also a sequence data type, but they are mapping types. That's why they are different category. They have the different category, mapping category, right? Now, in sequence data types, the sequence data types have the multiple values. The sequence data types can hold the multiple values, right? In list, we can hold the multiple values of different types. In tuple, we can hold multiple values of different types, but in strings, we can hold alphanumeric data. In strings, we can hold alphanumeric data. List is identified by a square brackets. List is identified by a square brackets. Tuples are identified by a rounded brackets. parentheses, and strings are represented through quotes, either a single quotes or double quotes, right? These are the data types in Python. These are the defined data types in Python. Python automatically detects the type of value. When we declare a variable, then Python automatically detects the type of that particular value. We do not need to define the type of value in a Python. Python automatically detects that value. Now, in these data types, only list, set, and dictionaries are mutable data types. Rest all are immutable data types. That means कि we can make changes in list, set, and dictionaries only. In other data types, we cannot make any changes, right? Now, once I have defined a type, say suppose I have created a variable. For example, I have created a variable called a, right, with the value 5. And now how to identify its type? How to identify the type of that particular variable? So we have a function called type which defines or we can say which returns the type of that particular variable or a value, right? So I will demonstrate this thing to you, right? So first let me open my system. I'll open my system and then I'll give you the demonstration of this thing. Now my system has started. Now the very first thing, how to identify the type of data. So say suppose I have defined a is equals to 10, a equals to 10, right? So by default it's a numeric value, right? It's a numeric data type, but in numeric which type of data it is? So I can identify the type of this particular variable a through type function. Type, I have to use the type function and then the variable name. Now it will show me the type of this data, that is int. Now as I told you, all the data types are treated as a class in a Python and they have some associated functions with that to manipulate the values of that data type. So here it shows the class int. The type function shows the data type of this variable a is class int. It's a class int, right? It is a, its class of this particular data type is int, right? So it has some associated functions with it, right? Which we will cover in later sections, right? In later videos, right? Now, say suppose I want to define a fractional value, floating value. So I can say b is equals to 4.5 and type b, that is float, right? Because it has a fractional value 4.5 decimal place with decimal places. Now next, say suppose I want to define a complex number, right? So how to define a complex number? As I told you, complex number has two parts, real part and the imaginary part. So I have to define both the parts. So say suppose c is equals to 5 plus 2j. So it is complex. Type c, complex. So c is a variable of complex data type. C is a variable of complex data type. Now next, d is equals to, in single quotes, Nitin Mathur. It's a string, so type d, so it's a string, str stands for string, right? So its class is string. Now As we know, the value of the variable can be changed as many number of times during program execution, right? The value of the variable can be changed as many number of times during program execution. In Python, we can change its type also. In Python, we can change its type also, right? Because we do not have any specific defined type. Python is a dynamically typed language, so we do not need to define a variable beforehand, right? Before using that particular variable, we don't need to define the type of that particular variable. It automatically identifies the type of that particular variable, as I demonstrate. So I can make changes in a variable and I can easily change the type of variable. For example, says as I used a as integer, so here I can use a is equals to Kamal as a string, and now type a. So now the type of a is str. Now it has been changed, right? Now the type of a is changed, right, from int to string, right? Now again, a is equals to, in a square bracket, if I give 12 comma 34 comma 56, so now it becomes a list. Now it becomes a list, right? Now type a. So class list, right? Now a, the type of a is now become list. It's a list type of a value, right? Now again, a is equals to, in parentheses, in rounded brackets, if I give some values, now it becomes tuple. Now it becomes tuple. Tuple, right? Now suppose a is equals to true, right? It's a Boolean value. It's a Boolean type of a value. A is true. Now type a. So that is bool, right? That means ki Boolean value. Now the type of a is Boolean. Now one more. Suppose a is equals to, in curly braces we define dictionaries, so curly brace, a key value pair. Say suppose uh, daily colon, say suppose 25. So daily is a key and 25 is a value of that particular key. So this is one key value pair. Next, Goa 50. This is another set of values, yani ki another key value pair, and now it's over. So becomes a dictionary, and if I give type a, so it will show me that it's a dictionary, right? So these are data types, right, in a Python. How these data types are used, how to identify the type of data, right? Hope now you understand the concept of data types, how data types work in Python. If you like the video, then please subscribe my channel, share my videos, and like my videos. Thank you very much.